You know, it turns out that no reforms were needed to open up the path to European funds, which was at the gesture of the ruling coalition in Brussels. The change of government in Poland itself was enough. I find it sad, because we were always hearing how reinstating the rule of law required reforms and so on. And so it turns out that it was all just nonsense. It was purely political propaganda. The key thing was that today the colleagues of those in power in Brussels took power in Poland. Their colleague Donald Tusk, who became Prime Minister. Unfortunately, this shows the hypocrisy of the elite, of the European People's Party and the European Socialists. This is one thing. The other issue is the question of Poland's international interests and, most importantly, issues relating to Poland's security. And it's obvious to me that we must speak with one voice and that our aspirations must be the same. We want Poland to be as safe as possible. Of course, we've had some political disputes, as it's always going to happen in a democracy. We have cohabitation in Poland. I come from a different political camp than Prime Minister Donald Tusk. But as I have said, on fundamental things, this cooperation is necessary for the benefit of our citizens. And to me it is clear. However, when it comes to details, yes, of course, there are different political visions, and those visions sometimes clash with each other. It's a normal thing in democracy. There's nothing extraordinary about that. However, methods which are applied today by the governing coalition in some internal policy issues, well, I object to them. I articulate that objection. I apply constitutional measures. I'm active and I do what I believe the President of Poland should do in such a situation. But that's an issue of internal policy.
But you don't doubt the legitimacy of this government, unlike Mr. Kaczynski, who has vowed by various methods to topple this government. You have no doubt, and you talked about democracy earlier on, that actually the Tusk government has the right to make reforms.
Of course, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that the Tusk government and the current parliamentary majority have the right to conduct reforms. Especially, they have the right to implement the commitments they made to their voters. It's normal, I believe. It's a democratic standard. But there is one fundamental thing. Please, you have to do it within the framework of the Constitution. But please, do it with the framework of the rule of law and don't violate all the rules of the rule of law. Do not violate the Constitution. Do not undermine the rule of democracy, the very principle of democracy. These are fundamental things. I was also elected in general elections, and more than 10 million Poles voted for me. That's why I'm President of Poland for a second term.